Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk and my latest in my series of Stanley Kubrick movie reviews. This time, Clockwork Orange from 1971. From here on out, I probably will go into spoilers just because I feel like I need to in order to talk about certain things in the film. So if you don't want to hear those spoilers, then yeah, turn off now, I guess. So Clockwork Orange follows this absolute band of misfits led by Malcolm McDowell's Alex. They get up to no good wherever they go, partaking in a little bit of rape and battery of vagrants and whatnot. So yeah, all in a day's work for kids of the future, I guess. However, when Alex goes too far and ends up getting caught by the police, he goes to prison. He gets sent to prison. But he's put in, or he opts in, I should say, for a new government program which is designed to stop criminals wanting to commit crime. So yeah, he opts into it, and the film is really about that. Now, when I first saw this in my teenage years, I was blown away by it, absolutely blown away by it. I thought it was incredible, absolutely fantastic piece of work. I watched it again a few years ago. It had lost some of its impact, but I still appreciated it. For this viewing, I'm not quite as big on it as I used to be, it must be said. I still appreciate what Kubrick's going for, and I think the message of the film is really great. It's some really great themes that he taps into, but I just feel like for Kubrick, it's a little bit mishandled in many respects. I think he goes over the top too much with things. And I'm not talking about the violence and things like that. I'm talking about the satire. I'm talking about the comedy. I personally think that this film was maybe the wrong way to go with comedy. I would love to see a completely straight-laced, down-the-line, serious take on this film. And I think if there's any film of Kubrick's that is ripe for the remake, I know a lot of people will shudder when I say that, with good reason, admittedly. But if there's one, I think it's this one. I would love to see a completely straight take on this, in which the violence is horrific, as it should be, and that things aren't played for laughs. I think that Kubrick wants this to be a satire on the way that society is heading, you know, the way that we do look lightly at violence, sex and violence. I think that's a good thing, you know. I think that's a good point to make, that we are doing that. But the way in which he shows that through making this a satire, by making us kind of, at least I feel he wants us to laugh at a lot of what's going on here. It doesn't work for me in the way that it did with Dr. Strangelove. Like there, you know, you got a bunch of people who essentially run the country, you know, and are acting like children. And I thought there was a place that satire needed to be. That was a good place to do it. Here, not so much. An actor in this, Patrick McGee, I don't know if I've seen him in much else. I know he has done a lot of work. He was in Barry Lyndon. I don't remember him in that, even though I saw that not so long ago. But dial it down, man. Seriously, like Kubrick just let this guy go all the way to 11, you know, and it hurts the film. And there are other kind of people in the film as well, other actors, other performances, where yeah, they're like, it's like they're from an episode of Porridge or something, you know. You remember the drill sergeant or the prison warden guy in that, very over the top. It feels a lot like that, very kind of British 70s sitcom kind of vibe to it. Yeah, it doesn't work for me when you put it alongside these other scenes that we see in which we're being asked to go to very dark places and see things that, yeah, are abhorrent behaviour. And I think a lot of the time it is to get us to like this character of Alex, even though we shouldn't. You know, there's a dichotomy going on there in which, again, plays into that idea, that notion that sex and violence in society has become more acceptable, more just rampant, I guess, and we're not doing anything about it. What we are actually doing is looking at it and laughing at it. So yeah, I get the commentary there. I just don't think this was the right way to go about it. There are a couple of other things as well, like things I just don't buy, like the two gang members that were in Alex's gang. He meets up with them at the end, and they attack him basically, you know, to take vengeance on him for what he did years ago to them, because he was a very kind of brutal leader of their gang. And it turns out that they're cops now. Now, one of them I can buy. I can buy that one of them might, you know, slip between the cracks. He got away. No one knew that he was involved in that crime. He didn't get dobbed in or anything. He might turn his life around and become a cop. But there's the other one, played by Warren Clark, and he's called Dim in the film for very obvious reasons. He's very dim. He's quite simple. I don't buy for a second that he gets in the police force. You know, you have to pass certain tests in order to get into the force. You know, you might be manipulative, you might be, a bit of a degenerate and still get in the police force, but you're an intelligent degenerate. That's how you manipulate the system. That's how you get to a place of power. There's no way this guy's manipulating his way to anywhere. I do still love what the film has to say about free will. You know, this idea that Alex, it's not that he doesn't want to commit crime anymore, he does. It's just that he's been brainwashed to get sick, to feel physically sick the moment he starts to think about it, the moment he tries to act on those thoughts and feelings. So you've essentially taken away his free will, his ability to choose. And that's the title of the film, is this A Clockwork Orange, is that on the outside it looks like something real. It looks like something, a real world item, an orange, a fruit, something that's fresh and living and that is organic. And yet you look inside and it's mechanical. It's programmed. And that's what Alex becomes. He becomes the Clockwork Orange. You know, someone who on the outside may look human, but because you've taken away his free will, you've taken away his humanity. And that's really what this film is about. How far should we go in order to make people do the right thing? And are they truly doing the right thing if they've got no choice in the matter? So all that stuff that is in there, I love that stuff. I think it's great. I think it's a really great message. Really great questions that the film forces the audience to ask themselves. I just think sometimes it's a little over the top with the satire and the performances. Just need dialing down a little bit. I will say, as I'm sure everyone would agree who sees this, Malcolm McDowell is fantastic. I think this is a role he was born to play. There's a reason it's so iconic, and he does so much with it. And yeah, like I say, despite the fact that he is quite an abhorrent character, you can't help but like him. You're just drawn to him because of his charisma. He's a very charismatic fellow. Now, Kubrick has used classical pieces throughout his body of work. He's very keen on using classical music, and I think as a result his films don't date. For the most part they don't date, because they're using pieces of music that have been around for years, that we know still works, that have stood the test of time. Whereas here, again, he uses classical music, but he updates it with a synth kind of vibe, because this is a film set in the future. It's a science fiction film to a very large part, so he was predicting where we might be. It's dated somewhat for me. Like I say, the classical pieces, when you use them the way they were intended to be heard, they work. They stand the test of time. This, not so much. The synth dates it big time. I still think this is a very good film, don't get me wrong. I just think because we're talking about Kubrick and because he's done such a body of work, I feel like I need to be a bit more critical, not give him a free pass just because it's Kubrick. And like I say, my opinions have changed over the years. When I first watched this so many years ago, I thought it was a classic. Now, just not so much. I am going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. So, good film, but not classic in the way that I feel a lot of people think it is. If you do feel differently and you want to tell me about it, then please do so in the comment section below. Let me know what you think about A Clockwork Orange and where you would kind of position it in your ranking of Kubrick's movies. Yeah, comment below, let me know, and until next time, crack it.